Hello and welcome to CVR News Network. You're watching CVR English. Welcome to World 360 and I'm Sandeep. At least 22 people have been killed and 63 others wounded after a suicide bomber attacked a church in Damascus, Syria. The attack occurred during a Sunday service after a man opened a fire in the Greek Orthodox Church of the Prophet Elias. According to the Interior Ministry, after a man opened fire in the church, he detonated an explosive vest. A witness of the attack, Lawrence Murray, spoke to the international media, saying that attack revealed that the explosion happened at the entrance of the church, which killed several people inside and in the vicinity.
مي عطونا مي مجانين قومي لعلك تعي هات تعمل عثمان يوسف دفني على درجة عثمان رياض يا شباب ده ممكن لحظة معلش كمان صحافة شو 10 صار قبل ما هذه الكنيسة حبتنزل كان في معهم دكتور
Ukrainian emergency teams are racing against times to locate survivors under the rubble after a deadly Russian airstrike struck residential areas in Kiev. The attack, part of the recent wave of missiles and drone strikes, left multiple buildings destroyed and dozens injured. Heartbreaking visuals show rescue workers and volunteers pulling people from the debris, while family wait anxiously nearby. As Kiev reels from one of the deadliest attacks in weeks, international condemnation continues to grow.
куда їхав? Вон вікно, обережно дивіться під ноги, тут багато битого скла. Дивіться під ноги, будь ласка. Куда їхав? Вон вікно, обережно дивіться під ноги, тут багато битого скла. Дивіться під ноги, будь ласка. Куда їх там? Вон вікно. Обережно дивіться під ноги, тут багато битого скла. Дивіться під ноги, будь ласка. Куда їх там? Вон вікно. Обережно дивіться під ноги, тут багато битого скла. Дивіться під ноги, будь ласка.
American bombers struck Iran's three main nuclear sites overnight, putting the U.S. directly into Tehran's war with Israel despite Donald Trump's long-time promises to avoid new conflicts. Addressing the nation late on Saturday in Washington, Trump said Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. He threatened far greater attacks if Iran does not make peace, raising the specter of even deeper U.S. involvement in the Middle Eastern war that began with Israel strikes on the Islamic Republic 9 days ago.
The U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the three key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. The U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the three key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime, Fordow, Natanz.
The latest visuals show plumes of smoke could be seen billowing over the Iranian city of Tabriz in northwestern Iran in a video released. The semi-official news agency ISNA had reported the strikes in the area. Trump, as shown earlier, said U.S. planes dropped a bomb on Fordow, a uranium enrichment site buried deep under a mountain and seen as vulnerable only to bunker buster munitions that U.S. possesses. Natanz and Isfahan, two other sites, were also struck.
نمیخوام آقا بریم تو نمیخوام
آقا بگیم میرن جلو رد چی
آقا اصلا من رفتم
برو جلو رضا برو جلو رضا سعید اومدن برو
A blast is seen in the direction of the Isfahan nuclear site at the US says in struck 3 Iranian nuclear sites. Social media videos of the US hitting Iran nuclear targets went viral. Meanwhile, US B-2 stealth bombers have returned to American soil after carrying out a long-range strike on Iran's key nuclear facilities as a part of Operation Midnight Hammer. The aircraft landed near Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri. 7 B-2 bombers took off from the United States and flew an 18-hour mission to Iran, where they dropped 14 bunker buster bombs on underground nuclear sites, including Fordo, Natanz, and Isfahan. The president's strike, kept secret until it was underway, was coordinated by US Central Command and involved only a small circle of senior defense and administration officials. US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth warned Iran against following through with past threats of retaliation against the United States and said US forces would defend themselves. This mission was not and has not been about the regime change, Hegseth told reporters at the Pentagon.
Their actions reflect the highest standards of the United States Armed Forces. This operation was designed to severely degrade Iran's nuclear weapons infrastructure. It was planned and executed across multiple domains and theaters with coordination that reflects our ability to project power globally with speed and precision at the time and place of our nation's choosing. This was a highly classified mission with very few people in Washington knowing the timing or nature of this plan. I'll refer you to the graphic on the side as I walk you through some of the operational details. At midnight Friday into Saturday morning, a large B-2 strike package comprised of bombers launched from the continental United States, a deception effort known only to an extremely small number of planners and key leaders here in Washington and in Tampa. The main strike package, comprised of 7 B-2 Spirit bombers, each with 2 crew members, proceeded quietly to the east with minimal communications. Throughout the 18-hour flight into the target area, the aircraft completed multiple in-flight refuelings. Once over land, the B-2s linked up with escort and support aircraft in a complex, tightly timed maneuver requiring exact synchronization across multiple platforms in a narrow piece of airspace, all done with minimal communications. This type of integration is exactly what our joint force does better than anyone else in the world. At approximately 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time last night, and just prior to the strike package entering Iran, a U.S. submarine in the Central Command Area of Responsibility launched more than 24 Tomahawk land attack cruise missiles against key surface infrastructure targets at Isfahan. As the Operation Midnight Hammer strike package.
Hundreds marched through New York City chanting "No war on Iran" in protest of the US bombing of Iranian nuclear sites. Demonstration condemns the deep US-Israel alliance and voiced fears of a broader global conflict. The protest followed a massive US operation involving B-2 bombers and bunker buster bombs. As tension escalates with Iranian missile strikes on Israel and warnings of retaliation, concerns mount over a widening Middle Eastern war with global repercussions.
Trump is lying and he's bringing us to the brink of another world war. We need to act. We need to speak up. We need to speak out. And we're going to bring them with us on Thursday into the street.
Better move, turn like Iran.
Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi issued a sharp condemnation of the recent US strikes on Iran's nuclear site, calling them a gross violation of Iran's sovereignty and international law. Speaking at a press conference in Istanbul, Araghchi warned that these attacks could have grave consequences for regional and global security. The remarks come after President Donald Trump confirmed strikes on 3 key Iranian nuclear facilities, escalating the already tense military standoff involving Israel, Iran, and now United States. In retaliation, Iranian missiles struck Tel Aviv on Sunday, where several buildings were damaged. Notably, the response came hours after Trump informed US strikes on Tehran's key nuclear sites. Tehran vowed to defend itself and responded with a volley of missiles at Israel. At least 18 people were wounded in Tel Aviv, as per Israeli media reported.
Islamic Republic condemns in the strongest terms the United States' brutal military aggression against Iran's peaceful nuclear facilities. It is an outrageous, grave, and unprecedented violation of the fundamental principles of the Charter of the United Nations and international law. The warmongering and lawless administration in Washington is solely and fully responsible for the dangerous consequences and far-reaching implications of its act of aggression. The US military attack on the territorial integrity and national sovereignty of a UN member state, carried out with genocidal Israeli regime, carried out in collusion with the genocidal Israeli regime, has once again revealed the extent of the United States' hostility towards the peace-seeking people of Iran, who will never compromise over their independence and sovereignty. The Islamic Republic of Iran continue to defend Iran's territory, sovereignty, security, and people by all means necessary against not just US military aggression, but also the reckless and unlawful actions of the Israeli regime.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu lauded US President Donald Trump for the excellent work of the US military in damaging Iran's Fordow nuclear facility with bunker buster bombs. Netanyahu declared Israel is nearing completion of its objective to eliminate Iran's nuclear and missile capabilities. While reaffirming his stance against a prolonged conflict, Iran has vowed to retaliate as the death toll rises on both sides, following Israel's surprise offensive launched on June 13th. The US flag is projected on the walls of the old city of Jerusalem the night of the US attacks on Iranian nuclear sites. Several American flags can be seen on the walls of next to Jaffa Gate and between Israeli flags.
There is no doubt that this is a regime that wants to eliminate us, to erase our existence. That is why we launched this operation, to remove the 2 existential threats, nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles. We are progressing step by step toward achieving these goals, and we are very, very close to completing them. Regarding Fordow, I believe we must take our hats off to our great friend, my close friend, President Trump, for the excellent work done by the U.S. military and the U.S. Air Force. We commend their achievement. They caused a very serious blow there, a very significant one. We will, of course, assess everything. In any case, we will ensure there is no threat from these nuclear facilities. We will do whatever is necessary to achieve the goals we set, and we will achieve them all. There is no doubt that this is a regime that wants to eliminate us.
Israeli Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir announced on June 22nd that the military will escalate strikes on Iran, calling the US bombing of Iranian nuclear sites a turning point in the conflict. In a video statement, Zamir said Israel remains committed to completing its objective and warned that more targets remain. The campaign, which began with a surprise Israeli offensive on June 13, has already resulted in over 400 Iranian deaths, mostly civilians, while Iranian retaliation has killed at least 24 civilians in Israel.
in one of the most complex and ambitious missions the IDF has carried out. Let me be clear. The Iranian regime is responsible for the war that has raged for over 600 days. From Gaza to Lebanon, from Yemen to Tehran, the Iranian regime has spent years fueling terror across the region. And now, the cost of their aggression is being felt on their own soil. Last night, the US military struck nuclear sites in Iran. These actions mark a crucial step stopping the Iranian regime's aggression and its ability to pose a threat to the region and the world. The regime's ability to threaten Israel is being dismantled piece by piece. Even while operating 1,500 kilometers away in Iran, the IDF is operating day and night on multiple fronts to achieve all objectives of the war. Last night, in a joint operation by the IDF and ISA, the bodies of 3 Israeli hostages were recovered from the Gaza Strip. Ofra Keidar, Jonathan Samerano, and Staff Sergeant Shai Levinson, all 3 were
In a dramatic escalation, Iran launched 40 missiles at Israel on June 23rd, including its advanced Khyber Sheikhan Castle Bluster ballistic missile following US strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities. The missiles targeted Israeli military centers, a research facility, and Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion airport. As raid silence blared across Israel, the IDF retaliated with 8 strikes on missile launchers and military sites in western Iran, including Tabriz. Tensions continue to surge as regional conflict threatens to spiral further.
现在是当地时间22号的早间。那么，在美国发动对伊朗的空袭之后呢，以色列也是首度遭到了来自伊朗方向导弹的袭击。那我现在所在的位置是在耶路撒冷，我们可以听到城市的上空持续的响起防空警报。那么与此同时呢，以色列的中部和北部地区也是大范围的拉响防空警报。
UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres condemned the US bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities, calling it a perilous turn for already volatile Middle East. Addressing an emergency Security Council session, Guterres warned of a dangerous cycle of retaliation and urged an immediate ceasefire and return to nuclear negotiations. He emphasized the importance of non-proliferation treaty and adherence to international law, while Russia, China and Pakistan circulated a draft resolution for an unconditional ceasefire.
2 days ago, in this very chamber, I made a direct appeal: give peace a chance. That call was not heeded. Instead, the bombing of Iranian nuclear facilities by the United States marks a perilous turn in a region that is already reeling. From the outset of the crisis, I have repeatedly condemned any military escalation in the Middle East. The people of the region cannot endure another cycle of destruction. And yet, we now risk descending into a rat hole of retaliation after retaliation. We must act immediately and decisively to halt the fighting and return to serious, sustained negotiations.
That's the end of the bulletin. Keep watching CVR News English.